Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Coaches Preview Show. I'm Jeremy Qualls. I'm here with two of our finest coaches, Paul, Derrick, Ron Crawford, head coaches of Nolensville and Brentwood. 8-2 combined records right now. Both of you are sitting at 4-1. Neither one of you are new to the show now. Coach Derrick, you are now a seasoned veteran. Both undefeated in region play. Coach Crawford, let's start with you. You're coming off a huge region win against your nemesis over there, Ravenwood, in the Battle of the Woods. Let's talk about that for just a second. What a crowd. I mean, what an atmosphere.
I think that all of the Williamson County games create good atmospheres, and those, especially us in Ravenwood, us in Franklin, are always good gates for the home team and fun crowds for our kids to play in and fun for our student bodies. So their student body does a great job. Paul was there for several years, and their student body really comes out and supports them. And I was proud of our folks showing up and getting there early, and it's fun to warm up to a packed house. So that's always fun for your players to get to experience that type of environment.
You're right on the fact that all of our games really draw good crowds, but there's something a little different about that Battle of the Woods game. I mean, we go to them all. Battle of Franklin, Border Battle, Battle of 840, you name it, we do them all. But there's something that carries a little different weight to that game. And the crowds come out. You get a great win on the road at Ravenwood. You beat them 31-28. Coach Daniels and his squad were ranked 4th in the state. You guys have moved up the rankings a little bit. I know you don't put a whole lot of stock in that right now. It's midseason. Nolensville, coming off a big win against Lawrence County, but more importantly, the week before, getting your first WCS win under your belt, beating Summit 13-8. Talk a little bit about that win against Coach Coleman at Summit on the road as well.
Yeah, it was a big win for our program, to beat a Williamson County school, and not just a Williamson County school, but a good football team. I mean, Summit's got a good football team. Coach Coleman does a phenomenal job with that squad, but our kids played hard, and we faced some adversity in that game, and it was a tight ball game, and it was good for us to finally really gut one out, and to get a win against the Williamson County opponent was a big program win for us.
So let's scrap that. Let's talk about that. Let's get the coach speak out of the way, the obligatory coach speak. This game right here would absolutely be the landmark win for your guys in your program if you could beat a Brentwood Bruins team. Ranked in the state, 6A team. Yep. You're currently 4A. You don't play like a 4A team, though. Let's just be honest. These guys are not your typical 4A.
Well, I tell everybody that calls, all my 4A buddies that calls about our schedule and stuff, and we got Nolensville, and I always say they're going to make a run at this thing this year. They're going to make a run in the playoffs if they can stay healthy, and just do a lot of pressure on Coach Derrick and his staff.
Appreciate it.
I really think they have a good squad, and they have an ability to be able to do some things. Obviously, health comes in that, and Paul knows the tournament. He understands when you go into a playoff tournament format, man, it's 1 week you're guaranteed.
Yep.
You got to play well every week.
Sure.
So I do think they are. I don't look at them as a typical 4A team as well, and whatever that means. But we play 2 of them, and both of them are talented squads. We're grateful that they agreed to play us, and makes it easy for us. It's just right down the road, and so we look forward to it. I hope our people will come out and support us like they did last week.
Oh, there's no doubt. This is going to be a very well-attended game. Specifically on your side, this will be your first game at Nolensville, correct?
Yes, sir.
They have your typical WCS home crowd. I mean, they really show up. I think that your people will travel shortly down the road to get there to see that. You spoke of another 4A team. You play Marshall County, who is in their region in week 9, if I'm not mistaken, right? You play them a week before you guys played. You look at the roster for Nolensville. You look at the games and the stats from last week. One name that keeps coming up, Colton Dooley. This guy's a workhorse for the Knights. Over 500 yards currently right now in midseason. 11 touchdowns. You see this guy on film. He's getting a lot of touches, a lot of carries. I mean,
he was the guy that really stood out for him in our game last year. I think we made the comment that he was probably the most physical runner we faced last year. He really does a great job of being downhill, and he's a physical runner. That's a compliment coming from a coach, and I know how important he is to their program, and he's just a workhorse type guy. that you enjoy watching, but you don't really want to play against. So it's certainly a challenge for our young guys over there, and because those guys that'll be playing this year wasn't on the field last year. So we continue to all week talk to them about this young man's physical nature, us having the ability to tackle him and to be as physical as he is.
Talking about Tim Dooley, let's talk about Tim Coutras. An unbelievable game against Lawrence County, career night.
Yep.
6 catches, 227 yards, 4 touchdowns, and capped it off with an interception, a pick.
Yep.
He's going to have his hands full. Him, Tim Stayskull, your secondary, your
Yep.
DBs. You're going up arguably against the best, most electrifying, I like to say that on the show on Mondays, receiving core. You're talking about speed, athletic ability that the Bruins have. You look at their receivers. Avery Williams, 1 reception, 45 yards. Bishop, 1 reception, 37 yards, and a touchdown with potentially the game-winning, go-ahead touchdown, if you will, from a pass from Granzow late in the second half. McKechnie, 1 reception, 43 yards. Dreyer, 1 ball, 6 yards for a touchdown. I mean, they spread the wealth. Mm-hmm. What do we have to do to stop that?
Well, I think you got to keep everything in front of you. They got big play potential. They got some guys that can go. The quarterback does a great job of throwing a deep ball when those guys get by you. But, we're just going to have to be disciplined with our eyes, read our keys, and do what we're supposed to do in coverage and not try to do too much, not press because we're playing against, good players. Our guys know what the challenge is this week. We just got to go out there and execute our game plan. And like I said, don't let them throw it over our head.
Let's talk about Granzow for a second. He is coming to his own. 7 of 11, 215 yards, 3 touchdowns against Ravenwood in the Battle of the Woods. This is a sophomore quarterback walking into the biggest stage. I don't know. I know that Oakland has a big game with Blackman. I know they're a Tennessee. I don't know that there's any game in the mid-state that has that type of field environment. This kid walks in as a sophomore, and walking in behind your quarterback last year, name escapes me, help me out.
Carson Shacklet.
Shacklet going to Belmont. Didn't get a whole lot of snaps in meaningful games last year. He walks into this game.
He got every snap in the freshman games last year.
That's a little different. That's a little different than walking into
Got
Battle
every
Woods.
snap, man.
I get you, but you're walking into the Battle of the Woods Region 6A title potentially on the line. If y'all handle business out, you'll win the title. But this kid played lights out.
Well, I think Nolensville's got a really good sophomore quarterback as well. I thought he was a junior. He was playing so maturely. But, for Cade, he really, we asked more of him this week, even though we only threw the ball 11 times. I think, we struggled to block their defensive ends at times, and the quarterback run game actually really, really helped us in that ball game. So not only did he hit 3 big plays, 3 really nice throws, by the way, but he ran the ball effectively. I think he had 56 yards rushing, and so that really helped us. And the type of offense we run, type that Coach and them run, that quarterback being a ball carrier just it adds to your offense, and it's one more dimension to defend. So that was a good part of it. He picked up, and the best part of his development, I think, was 3 turnovers week 1, 2 turnovers week 2, no turnovers the last 3 weeks. So when you talk about developing a quarterback, and you talk about taking care of the football
Right.
Above and beyond anything else. So that's as good as anything. He did that for us.
Well, you stole my thunder on that. I wanted to talk about efficiency for both of you, right? Efficiency is such from a coaching standpoint, it's kind of overlooked. We want to talk about the glitz and the glamour and who had how many yards and who did this. We'll talk about efficiency for just 1 second. Ball security. What was the biggest turnaround moment in the Battle of the Woods?
The turnover from
Zaire
I
Howard.
would say.
Pick
Big
6,
play. Big play.
right there, right before halftime. Could have easily gone into the locker room, down 21-7. Instead, it's 14-14. That is such a huge moment in that football game. What about the week before? Let's talk about that. Another defensive touchdown that the Bruins scored by Tank Starr picking up and scooping up a fumble and going in for a touchdown. Those moments right there are huge. What are you talking about to Ryan Gallardi saying, hey, we've got to – Ryder, pardon me. What are we looking for here? We got to make sure ball security because these Bruins, man, they're looking for those defensive touchdowns.
Well, I don't think we're telling anybody any different this week than we would any other week. You always got to take care of the football. Turnovers are huge in any ball game, and So we're just going to keep on, continue to preach the things we preach each and every week. But if we turn the ball over, it's going to be a long night. We're playing against a really, really good football team. I mean, anytime you play against a Coach Crawford coach team, they're going to be in the right place on defense. They're going to execute at a high level on offense and be disciplined and tough and all those things. So, we got our work cut out for us. But as far as that goes, we can't turn the ball over. I don't care who you're playing.
Man, I pride myself in getting these kids' names right. It's 2 weeks, 2 shows in a row with you that I've called.
It's a cool name too.
Ryder, I'm sorry. I won't forget that again. Ryder Gallardi.
The 2 films we have on Nolensville, 72% pass completion. So, one, that's good coaching. And 2, that's really good execution by a young quarterback, So that jumps off the page at you when you look at that and you go, man, they're really efficient throwing the football. So that's really that's good coaching and that's good execution by their kids.
Well, a lot of things get overlooked on your side of the ball too. The rushing aspect of that. Your running back right now is playing really well. But how do you plan for a shifty quarterback like Granzel? I don't want to give away too much. It's obvious y'all know what you're talking about. But if I said, is that a play call designed for him to keep and run when you spread the ball out a little bit? Because he can run the ball really well. It adds a different dimension. Last week you had to plan for that. Brian Garcia, that kid, all 140 pounds of him, he can get out in open space and make people miss and do those things. What are we doing to plan for that? How do we look at that? What are some things that you're telling your linebackers? Hey, when he gets the ball, here are some keys that it's going to tell us he's going to run.
Anytime the quarterback is a factor, you really got to be, and Coach knows this, you really got to know what you're doing as far as, how you're going to fit the run. They've created an extra gap, and especially with all the RPOs and quick screens and bubbles, and they really stress the defense. So you really got to, get on the board, draw everything up. How are you going to fit this? How are you going to cover this? So it really just takes a lot of time to figure those things out. But as far as what we're telling our kids, we try to keep everything the same week to week. So we try to read the same keys every week. We try to tell them the same things every week. Now it'll change a little bit here and there, but I think the game plan is really what matters the most when you talk about trying to stop the RPOs and a running quarterback and all the things that their offense and our offense tries to do.
Coach, I was a basketball coach. I ran high-low. Everybody knew it. We were going to practice it, and we were going to be better at it than your defense could cover. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Sure.
So does that come into effect in football?
I think there's no doubt it comes into effect that you want to do what you do and try to do it really, really well. I think each week, everybody wants to add a new wrinkle or something, but you can only do what your kids can execute. You can only do what your quarterback can handle. So I think the thing for us, just like in Nolensville, is, we want to play our best game to date. And this is week 6. We want to play better than we have previously. I know Coach and them do. The interesting thing about this matchup, if you will, with Nolensville and Brentwood High is we've known each other for several years. Paul and I have talked defensive football through the years.
Yep.
Our systems are very similar, if not identical. Coach Curran, his offensive coordinator, and I coached together for multiple years.
He's giving all the secrets away right now.
He was a part of it. So I think what has got to be key for us, we've thought this out, and I don't know if they've had this conversation. I'd be interested to see what Paul said, but Coach Finch, offense, he can't guess what Coach Derrick's going to try to do. Right. We've got to just call the plays and execute them. I can't get in Pat's head and figure out, hey, how's he going to attack us? We have to be mindful and run what we're going to run and try to execute and respond to the things that are different about the way they defend us or the way they try to attack us.
I failed to mention Jordan Nicholas, 1 reception, 62 yards. He actually led the way with a touchdown this past game. 6 Bruin receivers caught balls. Some people may ask, how do you keep everybody happy? Obviously, winning takes care of a lot of that, right? If you're winning, everybody's cool with it. But is this something that you talk about, or is this something, hey, we've bought in and this is what we're doing? This is Bruin football.
We're mindful to try to get them touches because we got guys that need the football and we want them. But then, defenses will take certain things away. And, you don't want to take a young quarterback and have him force the ball so you get somebody a touch. So, I mean, it's the ultimate team game that we play. And it's everybody has a job to do. And all receivers are always open. Everybody's always open. He just didn't see me.
Right.
And I think that's the point of, we've explained to our guys that, look, we'd love to get you touches, but the reality of it is we've got to execute the play that's called. The quarterback's got to go through his progression and reads, and we've got to throw it to the guy that's open. And with young guys, they can't expand their vision quite as much as a veteran quarterback that's played more.
Same question to you, Coach Derrick. It's one of those things in high school. You've got to get buy-in. Everybody's got to get some touches to feel like they're a part of the team, to keep them doing the roles that need to be successful. It may or may not be on the paper, may or may not be in the film, but as coaches, your role is just as important, whether you're blocking on the bubble screen versus catching. Those little small things. What are the things you talk about as a nice when you're getting your kids to buy in?
Well, first off, I think those go, and I've talked about that group of coaches before, but those offensive coaches, the offensive staff we have, they do a great job of trying to come up with a game plan to not only distribute the ball to different weapons that we may have, but also to play to our kids' strengths. Try to attack the weakness of the defense. But our kids know, in our system, there's a lot of run-pass options. There's a lot of different things we do. We move people around a lot. So, we try to get that buy-in by them understanding that anybody can get the ball on any given play. I mean, by the way we move people around and the tags we may have off certain plays. So, nobody can take a play off or anything like that. So that's kind of our approach to it. But, I just really got to sing the praises of those guys in that offensive staff room. Coach Curran, offensive coordinator, Daniel Childs, Mark Williams, Bryant Gunner, come up with a great plan every week.
You both got great staffs that are loyal and staffs that you rely on heavily in practice. What are your roles? I know we oversee, I get all that. Everybody understands that when it comes down to that 4th and 1 call with 10 seconds to go, you're going to end up making the call or end up falls on you. But what's your role on a daily basis? Give us a snapshot. When we go to practice, Coach Crawford, what's your bread and butter? What's something you love to do and something that you manage yourself within practice?
I usually coach a position where we can't find a guy to coach that position, but I've done outside linebackers the last few years. In our system, it's a really fun position to coach. You're a hybrid defensive end, outside linebacker, safety kind of guy, so there's a lot of things to do. It's become now, Coach had mentioned earlier about, planning. I think we have to be careful to play defense, not defenses. So it's gotten so much now that, everybody is, with the run-pass option thing, everybody is, you worry sometimes when we playing plays instead of playing defense. So I think that, to continue to be mindful of that. So I coach the outside linebackers. I signal the defense in. Do I call it? Well, I've got a safeties coach that's I trust a lot, and I get his input on it. I really let him talk about what coverages he likes in certain moments and what he feels best about at that time. So I would say we kind of have a committee approach, but I have the ultimate say that. I coach the punters, believe it or not.
And you've got a good one.
And
is that all because of you?
I need you to clinic me on that.
He went to.
He can flat kick it.
He can kick it, yeah. Once you get a kicker that's pretty good, they go to all the gurus and they'll mess them up. Watch out. But so I'm highly involved in our kick game as well.
And this is 2 kickers in a row, by the way, that you've had that have been really, really top-notch kickers.
We've been blessed. We've been fortunate. Williamson County usually all the Williamson County games is going to be good kicking. So, so that's my role. I trust our offensive staff, and I won't. What are y'all doing? I listen to the plays.
You just
Sometimes
let it
I go, what's that? So or now. So really, it's we've got our approach, and it's kind of how we do it.
Just curious. Play call signals in, it's a run call. I want a pass call. You let it go? Or I know it's scenario based. I get that.
If I want something beforehand, I need to let them know beforehand.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
But usually I have them call it, and when they're wrong, I correct them. So I try to say, hey guys, we got to do better.
When they're right, when they're right,
we love them.
When they tell you to shut up, Coach, going back down to here,
They need me to leave.
Same question to you.
Well, first off, as a first-year head coach, I'm obviously wearing a lot of different hats that I'm not used to wearing.
Sure.
So, doing all the head coaching stuff. But as far as on the field, I'm the defensive coordinator as well. I coach the back end, so the safeties and the DBs. But that's really what I enjoy most, is being on the practice field. Coach mentioned planning. That's to me, that's the fun part of the game. Is it's not really calling plays on Friday night, but scheming all week long. And then when your kids go and execute that plan, that's the most fulfilling thing for me as a defensive coordinator and as a position coach. But we got a great offensive staff, similar to Coach. I kind of let those guys, I hired them guys for a reason, so I kind of let them guys, I want to be informed. I want to know what's going on, obviously. But, I'm not going to micromanage those guys or anything like that.
I didn't think I'd miss that role as much. I really didn't. I thought I'd miss those Friday nights, those big games you walk in, the smell of the popcorn, the varnish, the squeaking of the shoes, the screaming at the referees. I thought I'd miss that part the most, but it's not. It's that I think there's a fulfilling piece of that what you're both talking about is the moment when you're in mid-season form and we're scout team in Brentwood or we're scout team in Nolensville, and the kids grasp everything you're saying. As a matter of fact, they kind of almost take a lead in points. Hey, Coach, when they do this, we're going to do this. That's that fulfilling moment that you feel like all the hard work from July on has officially paid off.
You're not going to coach long if you don't enjoy the daily interaction with your players and practice.
Oh, sure.
Because the majority for football guys, we spend way more time practicing than we do playing. So I think for us that you got to enjoy that daily interaction with your players. And, we wouldn't be in education if we didn't like that.
Right.
And you got to love practice. I mean, practice is everything. That's the only way to get better. If we didn't, we just meet it Friday at Nolensville and see how we come out.
Let me tell you something that's chill bump worthy too. And we don't have a soul as a coach if we don't. And that's the post-game deal. When I walked up to hand you that trophy the other night, I got chill bumps myself because it's a proud moment as being a colleague of yours and seeing those kids' faces, getting that first win ever at Nolensville. It's just that right there from my standpoint, is just as fulfilling as a state championship. Now, people think you're crazy. No, it's just because I know the grind, I know the effort, I know the hours spent at home, the spouse is allowing us to do this, and you go in there and seeing your spouse celebrate just as much because they know how important it is to the kids, not just to you, to the kids.
Well, and how much we've invested, I think, as coaches and even communities and all that stuff that goes into games like that and big wins like that is really what it's all about. It's about the kids and it's about creating memories that'll last a lifetime, and it's about relationships. Coach mentioned the daily interactions at practice and all that, and that's the fun part.
We can have speeches prepared all day, but when you get up there and you start talking and you start looking at, and when you were talking, I was looking at their faces. It's just that's what it's about. It's what it's about. I mean, it's hard for people to explain to them, isn't it? I mean, yes, we get compensated. Yes, we get paid. Yes, we have this, but when it comes down to it, there's nothing like that circle, and you're going into that victory speech mode, and seeing those kids' faces because all the hard work is paid off.
Well, player development and building relationships with kids. If everything's based upon an outcome, it's not going to be a very happy life for you as a coach. So I think the point is, never getting too high, never getting too low. Being able to respond to adversity, being able to respond to success in the same breath is difficult too. So, trying to be consistent and is probably the biggest thing you got to do.
Well, truth be told, first in your class, your seniors outgoing. If we don't win a state championship, neither one of you win a state championship, they're going to remember that Ravenwood win. They'll always remember that. They'll remember the first WCS win. Mm-hmm. And if you guys happen to win tonight, that'll be those guys will never forget that, right? So let's talk about this for just a moment. I think it's super important for a program of your size to play up, right? I think those games against 6A opponents help you down the road when you get in playoffs because you're not going to see a team this physical, this fast, this quality and quantity of players. Right? So I think it's important.
Yeah, and I think that's what helped us last year. We play a challenging schedule. It's the same schedule we had last year. Last year, obviously, we didn't have seniors. This year we do. So it's not as challenging, but it's still challenging. And I think that's why we were able to win a playoff game last year. We were a 4 seed and upset a 1 in that first playoff game, and I think our schedule had a lot to do with that.
So from the reverse side of that, you're on the 6A level. There's really nowhere to go as far as who do we play. But you do have those quality opponents. This game is not viewed as a trap game by your kids, is it?
I think you always got to have in the back of your mind what you did at Stewart's Creek, and we didn't feel good after we come out of that outcome, and then we had Ravenwood the next week. I hope we learned a lesson that way, that week, staff-wise, player-wise, and all that. Paul knows I respect him and his staff and the job they've done there. So I think for us, it's, this is not something we were really looking to do, to play 2 4A teams.
Marshall County being the other, right?
Marshall County being the other, but in the same breath, Coach Hester, when he was there, needed a money game. And I didn't want to. We had the conversation. I really didn't want to. Couldn't find anything. And then Marshall County is one of those that Coach Derrick's going to find out next year with this year's success. We got small leagues. We got too many classes. It's difficult to find a schedule. Yeah. So this is 2 4A programs that couldn't find anybody to play them as much as it has to do with anything else.
All right, so we're going to go into the obligatory coach speak now. We're going to look forward. I don't care about tonight's game. Forget that. Let's look forward just a moment in what matters.
We don't do that, Jerry.
Yeah. In your schedule. At Tullahoma, Tullahoma's currently sitting 2-0. I'm not sure who they play tonight. I don't have that in front of me. At Maplewood, also 2-0. Marshall County 0-2. You're sitting currently at 2-0. This Tullahoma game coming up is going to be huge for regional implications. That Maplewood game could potentially be for the championship if you could beat Tullahoma. Don't need to slip up right now. Looking ahead for you on the Region 6 side, you've got Independence. You beat Independence next week. I don't want to look too far in the crystal ball, but if you beat Independence, if I did my math right, I think you wrap up the 6A championship regardless of what happens because you have Centennial left. If you lose to Centennial and Ravenwood wins out, you win that tiebreaker head-to-head because you beat, obviously because you beat Ravenwood. Now, I think you're obviously in the playoffs. That's a done deal. Now we're looking at the home seeding. I know, how important is that going into the playoffs?
Man, it's all about matchups when you get to playoffs. If you can play at home, it's much easier because getting a bus and getting somewhere on time is difficult. There's just nothing for granted. We've played 5 games, and we've got 5 left. We have 2 more league games, but we have 5 games left. We only get to play these. We're only guaranteed these. So we better play well tonight. And then we'll worry about.
He's reining it back in, so I like it.
We'll worry about Independence next week because if you get ahead, they're too good. So I don't think, kids do it, adults, everybody's bad about putting their schedule up, but we can win this one, we can win this one. Right. It just steals your joy. You better enjoy this.
Are you talking about me? I just don't know that I'm going to have you on the show between now and then. I'm just trying to get it in. Obligatory coach speak. Your time now, go. 30 seconds.
Well, we're excited to play the game tonight, and it's a great challenge to play against these guys. But we'll worry about Tullahoma when we get to worry about Tullahoma.
And there it was.
It is what it is. We're not looking past. We're definitely not looking past Brentwood. We're talking about one of the best programs in the state of Tennessee.
All right, at Tullahoma, Lincoln County, Maplewood, Marshall County. Your former is what's left in your seniors' career outside of tonight. Your seniors' career, what's left in them that's guaranteed, like you spoke of. Indy. Father Ryan, you got Coach Rector there. That's an interesting matchup. At Marshall County, and then Centennial after tonight's game. Like you said, 5 games. It's hard to believe we're in midseason, right?
Still 90 degrees.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I'm just glad that you reined it back in for me. I'm sorry. I was going to go in and talk about what the pundits on the line tonight's game, but I'm going to leave that alone because.
Well, if the pundits have it right, we can all this practice.
Just show up.
Yeah, we'll just go home.
Just show up. Yeah. Pundits, plus 20. That's a big line, man. Are you kidding me? No respect.
I'd take Nolensville
Giving
no
20. I'd respect to Nolensville. I'm going to go Nolensville. Guys, I appreciate you very much. It's great having you on the show. You too.
Thank you.
Hey, you're getting pretty good at this thing, man. You stick with this guy, he'll get you. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Brentwood will be at Nolensville. Thank you for joining us for the Coaches Preview Show. We'll see you next week.